Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We are doing a webinar with American Business Systems, and we got a lot of really cool information we're going to share with you about how to launch a medical billing business as quickly as you possibly can. There's a lot of people that try to start their own medical billing business. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, to be honest. I mean, if any of you that are just dialing in here, joining in, if you've looked and done research, I mean, there's all kinds of medical billing schools you can go through, online courses, in-person classes. There's coding courses that take forever to get certified in coding. Then what you've got to do is you've got to take all that knowledge and figure out how to market yourself. If you're doing all of this for the purpose of starting your own business instead of being an employee. So you really got to try to figure out, how in the world am I going to find doctors and get them to talk to me and do business with me? Well, that's exactly where we come in. We kind of fill in that gap where we're providing you a lot of marketing assistance. But I'm kind of blabbing on here. We've got some people that are still logging in. Let me talk a little bit about the audio here. If you guys are hearing me loud and clear, maybe I'm just sitting here talking to myself. I don't know. If you can hear me, click on the little Q&A button down there at the bottom of the Zoom panel. Type anything in. Yes, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. Anything. Anybody? Oh, good. Letitia says yes. Loud. Oh, Greg says loud and clear. Teresa, hello. Hello, Oluwole. Hello, Marion. All right. That's great. Thank you so much for typing that in there. So, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am the CEO of American Business Systems. I just recently got a promotion. My father is the founder of the company. Him and my mom actually started this family business in 1994. And I came from a mortgage background. I was doing a lot in the subprime mortgage industry in 2008, I believe it was. So sorry about that whole thing. That was partly my fault. But I moved over to ABS quite a while ago, and I've just really enjoyed working with the family business and, being able to work from home, being able to spend more time with your family, being able to not have to dress up and wear a suit and tie every day. I mean, hopefully that's a lot of those reasons are why you guys are here, is you want to start your own business and have more freedom, more flexibility, but also make more money at the same time. So hopefully that's why you're here. Let's see. So I just released a brand new book that I wrote, co-wrote with one of our partners, Vicki Rackner. She's a retired surgeon. 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. And we basically give them a very simple, set of steps that they can take to help improve different processes and workflows in their practice, give them ideas, things that they may not have thought of, and different ways to save money and keep the money that's owed to them, by the insurance companies and other things like that. That book is available now. So for those of you on this webinar, you are the first to get the invitation to receive this book in an e version. So we do have a PDF version of this book. If you want to just get back to the person that invited you to this webinar, we'd be happy to send that to you. So that is one of several books that we use to market to doctors that you'll learn about. So like I mentioned, there's a picture of my parents here. They're happy and smiling because I'm doing all the work and they're sitting at home now. My mom, she goes on cruises and stuff and she hangs out with these ladies with the purple hats. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, I'm helping run the business for them. And what they did was they started the business back in, they actually started a medical billing business in the 80s and kind of through trial and error figured out how to run their own medical billing business from home. But they made a lot of mistakes. I mean, they were out there by themselves. And there's a lot of people that are doing that even to this day. They really have no idea how to market the business. And it's really, really hard to get the doctors to trust you. And that's where we come in. That's our expertise, is helping build that trust. We have several different services that you guys can offer. If you've never been on one of these webinars before, you're in for a treat. I mean, we have so many different services that you can help doctors in different ways, that you can actually end up with several different revenue streams for your business. So it goes way beyond just helping them with their insurance claims. I mean, that is a big part of what we do here, but you'll see that the potential is much, much bigger than you might have thought it was initially. So hopefully we'll give you some good information on that. For those of you who have not seen the virtual brochure, we do have a little bit more detailed information than the primary website. So if you haven't done that yet, go to our primary website, which is absystems.com. And there is a button in the top right corner where you can fill out a little form, put your name and email in there, and then you will get immediate access to our virtual brochure. So when you do that, there are some more videos. There's some in-depth discussions of the services. You actually are able to download what we call our research guide, which we're going to be talking about here in a moment. And that actually is a very extensive, thorough PDF document that you can download and review about the industry and the services and all kinds of good stuff in there as well. Just as a reminder, as we're going here, please, any questions about medical billing, about starting a business, about our company, anything that you want to ask, type it into the little Q&A section at the bottom there of your Zoom window, and we'll be happy to get to your questions as we go here. We'll also be kind of reminding you as we go as well, because we love interacting with everybody on here. So do that when you can. All right, so now I would like to introduce our VP of Business Development. He's a special guest I asked to be on with me today. This is Jason Pettit. He's been with the company for a long, long time. My best friend, we grew up together. I trust him with my life. So thank you for being on here, Jason, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away.
All right, good to be here, Adam. Thank you, and thanks to everybody joining us today. We appreciate you being here and spending your time with us to learn more about American business systems and starting a medical billing business. As Adam mentioned, today we are going to be talking about launching your business. What are the steps that it takes to get from zero to having a functioning company and capturing your first client? We thought this would be kind of a cool webinar topic, so we could do kind of a flyover. We're not going to do a super deep dive into any of these topics, but we're going to give you kind of the step-by-step process that someone would take from initially finding us on the internet and not knowing anything about medical billing to going through the research steps, moving forward, going through training, and then starting the company. We get these questions all the time. So we thought that it might be fun to make a webinar talking about it. So here's the basic path we're going to take today. These are the basic steps of starting a business with American business systems. So the first category here is where I would expect most of you on the webinar today are, finding your way through. That's the due diligence process. With any business opportunity, you're going to go through due diligence steps. You're going to research and try to make a good decision. Once you get to the end of the due diligence process and decide this is a good fit for you, then there's an agreement and funding phase. Once you're fully funded, we get you into training. We're going to spend some time talking about that. And after you're trained and your company's functional, you're going to get out there, launch the business, and start your marketing to get your first client. And we're going to cover all four of those sections. So this is going to be a little bit of a wild ride. We're going to cover a lot of ground. Adam mentioned this button at the top of the absystems.com website. So if you haven't made it to our main website, I would recommend definitely giving it a visit. But this first thing we're going to talk about is our first due diligence step, which is downloading the research guide. It's a 50-page PDF. Adam mentioned this research guide at the beginning of the presentation here. And there's a couple of different ways that you can get your hands on a copy of that 50-page PDF. Probably the most common way is to click that virtual brochure button. And as soon as you are able to access that virtual brochure, you'll see about 13 download buttons for the research guide. There's buttons all through that page, and you can hit the download button and get the PDF that way. If you're unable to find that, or if you didn't get the email, all you have to do is look at your ABS rep's email signature And in the email signature, you'll see a link to absystems.com. If you click that link, it'll take you directly to the virtual brochure and you can download that research guide. So one of those two ways you should be able to do it. And when you are able to download it, here's what it's going to look like. It's a 50-page PDF. It's the nuts and bolts of building a business like this. It's got income potential. It's got operational costs. Maybe some things in there that you haven't thought about as you've been going through your research starting the business. It's a really, really good place to start your research. If you cannot get your hands on this, if you can't find the virtual brochure, if you don't even understand what I'm talking about, feel free to give us a call, go directly to the website, email your rep. We can easily get you a copy of this if you haven't seen it. But it's a great place to start your research. Anything to add to the virtual brochure, Adam? I know you had a big hand in developing this.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, if for some reason you can't find a download link or whatever, just email your rep, email us, and we can just send you a direct, attachment or link or whatever to get to it. Now, you don't need necessarily, unless you really want to, you don't need to print this thing out. I mean, you'll kill an entire tree. But you could open this up on your iPad, your laptop, and kind of scroll through and look there. Yeah, I mean, it's very thorough. It's got all the information about the industry itself, all the different services that you can offer, how those services work, how they help the doctors, and of course, the best part, how much money you can make on each one of the services. So definitely want to check that out. Yeah.
That's right. We'd be happy to help if you can't find it, but it's a great place to start. Another thing that we recommend, and I'm sure many of you have either seen the YouTube channel for ABS or maybe even found us on YouTube. ABS has been around for almost 30 years, almost 3 decades, and much longer than YouTube actually. So we've got quite a bit of content on our YouTube channel, and I'm sure those of you who have been there can agree. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of recorded webinars like this webinar. Not just topical webinars, but also owner interviews, which are very insightful, and you can usually get a lot of good information. So if you haven't made it to our YouTube channel, definitely give it a peep. I think you'll enjoy it, and there's just a wealth of information there. You can find the YouTube channel at the very top of our main website. There's a little YouTube badge right in the top corner in the navigation bar. You can also find the YouTube link in any of the rep signatures. So if you have a rep you're working with that's sending you emails, you can easily just go to their signature and click the little YouTube icon. Of course, you can always go straight to YouTube and type in American Business Systems. Will definitely pop up that way as well. Adam, anything you want to add to the YouTube channel?
Did you just give the URL, the YABS? Did you say that?
I did not give the URL, and actually in hindsight, I probably should have included that on this slide.
Yeah, so no problem. Yeah, so anybody that wants to go check it out, just go to youtube.com/YABS. So it's like WHYABS, YABS. So and it can be a little bit daunting because we are putting a lot of content on that every week. So there are some playlists that we have created. So if you click on playlists up there, if you want to check out testimonials, all of the interviews with our owners is under the testimonials playlist, for example. So it'll kind of help you figure out, well, what do I want to watch? So hopefully that'll help you there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the best ways to research not only American Business Systems opportunity, but any franchise opportunity is talking with successful owners. And that's a big part of our due diligence process. Some of you may have already gotten a reference list from the rep that you're working with. If you have not gotten that list, or if you have not reached out to any of the owners on the reference list that you received, I would strongly encourage you to do that. We've got some amazing owners. We've got some owners with decades of experience. We've got owners with massive companies that they've built, 50, 100, over 400 clients. And we also have owners with modest sized businesses, 3, 4, 5 clients who replace their income and are just enjoying a really flexible lifestyle. So a really good way to wrap your arms around this business and start to paint the picture of how this business might look for you and your family is talking with some owners. So if you haven't gotten this list yet, definitely send your rep an email and they can get this list to you. I've put on the screen here 2 different case studies that we've just recently developed. These are 2 of our very successful and longtime ABS owners. We've got Jay on the left side and Benny on the right side, both of which who are on the reference list and you can speak with. So we can send you these case studies and you can read a little bit about Jay and Benny's background. Also in the reference list, another thing that I like to mention, our reference list is listed chronologically from the oldest, not age-wise, but the most veteran ABS owner is at the top of the list. And I believe that's Benny, if I'm not mistaken. And then it goes all the way down to the most recent owners. And each one of the owners, it gives their contact information, and it also has a link to their YouTube interview. So it's a really good way to watch their YouTube interview, learn a little bit about their background and their story and maybe some of the challenges or successes that they had with their business. And then you can shoot them a text, coordinate a time to talk with them, and you can ask them really specific questions. And I would encourage you to do that. It's one of the best ways to get comfortable with this business and really get a good understanding of what it takes to get a business like this off the ground.
Excellent. Yeah. And what I'm really excited about these new case studies that we're putting together. We partnered with a PR firm here locally that's helping us put together these case studies. And these are the first 2. And these if you want to check these out, this is another thing that we can send directly to you. These are a PDF, of course, so we can send these case studies to you, which I would highly recommend requesting those. But it's really cool because the one on the left is about Jay Beatty, and he is doing this part-time, but making 5 figures monthly part-time because he signed up some podiatrists that are doing these crazy surgeries, and he gets a percentage of that, and it's a really cool story. And then Benny on the right is doing it full-time, and he's actually got several people, staff, and office space, and dozens of clients, and the whole 9 yards. So you get kind of both sides of part-time and full-time with these. But yeah, we're working on releasing several more of these case studies. I'm really excited about it.
One of the interesting things about this business model is a lot of people start their businesses with us part-time. It's not often that someone has the cash flow and the assets to start a business and go a few months without generating income. So most people have to keep their jobs. So trying to transition income from a regular, standard workday to a business like this, where you're generating enough money to replace your income, that can be kind of tricky. You have to transition that just right, because you, of course, don't want to go a month or 2 without having your living expenses met. A really nice thing about this opportunity is when you get a client, your client on average is going to generate $2,000 to $3,000 a month worth of income for you. So, and that's being very conservative. Of course, like in Jay's case, he got this client where he's generating tens of thousands of dollars a month. So that's a little bit of a different scenario, but you can expect to get at least $2,000 to $3,000 a month from one client scenario. So if you think about this from an income transition standpoint, you're working your regular job, you're putting in part-time marketing effort, and it may take a little longer, but you get your first client. That's a pretty decent amount of cash flow, and that's yours. We don't have a royalty. We don't take any percentage or piece of that. So you've got $2,000 to $3,000 a month minimum of cash flow as you work your regular job. A couple of things to point out here. Number one, $2,000 to $3,000 a month is going to pay off your $28,000 investment in about 12 months. So your break even is super fast, even with just one part-time client on the side. Very often, the second and third client comes from a referral from that first client. So you're still working your job, you get a referral, you get that second, that third client. All of a sudden, you're in income replacement territory, and you can start to consider going full-time. Pretty cool business from that respect. And there are not many franchises on the market that allow you to grow your business part-time while you keep your job. It's a little bit of a game in the franchise industry when you start looking into some of these franchises. they'll tell you, oh yeah, you can keep your job, you can work this part-time until the business gets up and running. But when you get serious about the business and get excited about it, then they start trying to talk you into taking out a loan to pay for your income. And all of a sudden it's a little bit of a different scenario. We have a very rare model on the franchise market where you really truly can grow this on the side. This next portion of due diligence, this is my favorite step here. This live software demo is what ties everything together. You've done your research, you've talked with owners, you've downloaded the research guide, you've been on these webinars, you're starting to get a pretty good idea about the business and maybe getting a little bit excited about it. When you see the live software demo of our iClaim system, that's where it comes to life. So if you have not had a software demo yet, definitely talk with your rep and get one on the schedule, because not only are we going to show you how to file claims, of course, we're going to show you how to file claims on the demo. I think you'll be surprised at how straightforward that process is. We're also going to show you how all the rest of it connects together. You have to think about the other side of the equation. You're using the system to file the claims, but the doctor and the physician assistant and the nurse practitioner and the office manager and the receptionist and all of their staff, they're also using the system for scheduling and patient registration and charting and all of their processes, all of their workflows. That all flows into your screens for you to file the claims. So you get to see how it all fits together. And it really is eye-opening. And I think at the end of the demos, it's always fun to see a much, much more kind of clear understanding of how the operational side of the business works.
Yeah, anytime I've been on demos with doctors, they have been pretty wowed by the system. They don't really, it's hard to grasp the tight integration that is happening with all these different platforms that different people are interacting with. You make one little change on the EHR platform and it shows up instantly on the billing practice management platform. So I've seen firsthand doctors kind of go, wow, I've never seen it do that. That's cool. So yeah, it's the benefit of having such a tightly integrated system with all the platforms being built by the same development team under one roof. That's key.
It's a good point, Adam. And a fun statistic, over half of the doctors that do a demo of our iClaim platform move forward with an implementation. I'll say it again because it's unbelievable. Over half of the doctors that do a demo of our platform move forward with the implementation. It's the highest closing ratio at a demo stage of the sales process that I've ever heard of. I've been in sales for 20 years. I've never heard of that. If any of you are in sales or marketing and you've heard of a better closing ratio on a software demo in a sales process, please type that into the question panel. I would love to know a higher closing ratio than 50%. It's just almost unbelievable. So, okay, so we finished the due diligence section. So everything we've talked about up until this point has been pre-decision, which of course is where I would assume most people on this webinar are trying to get to the point where they're deciding if, is this the right decision for you? Is this going to be a good fit for you and your family? Once you reach that point and you say, you know what, these two knuckleheads on these webinars finally talked me into it. I think I'm going to launch my company with ABS. So then what happens? What happens when you say, I'm ready, let's do this? So we're going to go into the next section and talk about that. But first, another quick reminder. We're going to take live Q&A at the end of this session, about 10 minutes before the end of the top of the hour. You can go ahead and start typing questions in right now. If you see a slide and you have a question about the content on that slide or something in that topic, go ahead and type that question right in. We're not going to get to it right this moment, but at the end of the session, we're going to answer all the questions that are in there. So feel free to start typing those questions in real time as we continue to go through these slides. But the next section we're talking about.
If you see a typo in the slide, let us know because Jason made
No, do not type anything about typos. And hey, if any of you were on the webinar 2 weeks ago when Adam and I hosted, my logo was backwards on my background behind me here. And it was pretty embarrassing, but I think I got that corrected. If any of you were on the webinar 2 weeks ago and saw me with the backwards logo, if you wouldn't mind just confirming in the Q&A panel, somebody type in there if my logo is correct and it's not mirrored. I'd appreciate just a quick double check on that.
Does it look good or is it backwards again?
Yeah, is it the right way or is it reversed behind me?
Yeah.
Somebody help me. Somebody type in the question panel. Anybody, somebody. Yeah, we'll move on. Okay, so now we're talking about what happens. All right, Cy, thank you. Oh, good to see you on the webinar today, Cy. Okay, Greg, appreciate that. Thanks so much. And Natisha, I appreciate you weighing in as well. Thanks a lot. Pretty embarrassing when you get about halfway through the webinar and somebody lets you know that your background is reversed. So now we're talking about the agreement and funding stage. So at this point, you've decided, hey, I'm ready to rock. I want to move forward. What's the next step after that? Well, ABS has a very simple 4-page purchase agreement. It's written in plain English. This is not like a conventional franchise where you have a 400-page document that you have to sign and you need a team of lawyers to review it. This is a very simple 4-page agreement written in plain English. I think it's very rare that somebody decides that they need legal counsel on it because it's not very complex. So at any point in the process, even if you haven't gotten to a decision point, if you want to take a look at the agreement, we are happy to send the agreement and you can review it with no obligation or pressure. We want to make sure you have all the information that you need to make a good decision. If you're at that point and you're ready to launch your business and get going, definitely email your rep and they can get this agreement to you right away. Quick side note, we use a document signing service called HelloSign. Many of you have probably used DocuSign. HelloSign is very similar. So when you receive the agreement, the link will come from the HelloSign service. It'll have a link that you click on, it'll open up the agreement, and then it'll guide you through where to put your signature and initials and your contact information and everything. It just takes a few minutes to go through those fields. So if you'd like to see the agreement, definitely let your rep know and we'll get that to you straight away.
If you want to touch a little bit on anyone who's thinking about, well, how do I need to set up my business first and put that on the agreement, or what you want to talk about how people usually fill out the agreement initially?
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. And that's one of the most common questions that we get is, do I have to have my company already set up? Do I have to have my business bank account? And the answer is no, you certainly do not. So you can invest with personal funds and then you can attribute that as a business expenditure when you get your company set up. Your CPA can help you do that. And the agreement that we have does not require you to sign the agreement as a company. In fact, the agreement does require that you sign it as an individual. So it is quite rare for us to have someone sign the agreement and move forward with funding and already have their company set up. It does happen sometimes from time to time. Usually it's someone who already has a business set up and they're just tagging ABS along with it. So definitely not necessary to have your company set up. However, we do have an email template that's a little bit later in our discussion here on the webinar. We do have a template email that we can send to give you some ideas to start brainstorming on good company names. We've got some research links where you can see if those names are available in your area, if the domain is available, and if another company like this is using your name in your state. So definitely ask your rep if you'd like to see that template email. And it's also got some resources on how to find a good attorney to set up your corporate entity, and also some ways to start getting your logo designed and everything. So if you want to get a jump start on that and you haven't quite moved forward with the agreement, email your rep, ask for the, what do I call that? The company naming template, naming and resources, and they can send you that guide to walk you through that.
Excellent.
There is actually one other thing here that we should mention. You can have a partner in the agreement or multiple partners, and that is unique to American business systems. Most other franchises, if you have a partner, that partner is going to have a price tag attached to it with the franchise investment. In fact, we used to, a few years ago when we had live training in Dallas, if you brought a partner to training, it was an extra $1,000. So we don't have that anymore since all of our training is online. We don't have the same fixed costs for each attendee. So partners can be on the agreement and attend the live training sessions with Cynthia at no additional cost. So it's just the $27,990, and you can have one partner, two partners. You can have a husband and wife team. Both can be on the agreement. Both can attend training. Everybody gets certified with certified medical revenue manager degree. So that's all included, no additional fees. So that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Good stuff.
This next section is about funding. Show me the money, right? And honestly, when most people that I work with, I've been with American Business Systems for 16 years. And, there's always a point in time where somebody crosses over from research to excitement, and I want to start the business. And when that happens, inevitably, you start having that conversation about the funding, and it takes a lot longer to get the money moved around than you might think. So there's a couple things to say with the funding. You need to be aware that a lot of times when you're moving money in between bank accounts, sometimes banks will put a hold on that money. So you have to add that into your funding date time. The reason that we try to be out in front of your funding date is because we like to schedule your training date as close as we can to your funding date. So if you think the funds are going to be there, September 1st, but you don't have the funds available until September 9th, we want to try to get your first training scheduled, right after that. So it's pretty important to get a good idea of how long it's going to take for your funds to be transferred. And I would recommend, if you're getting close to a decision, have a conversation with your ABS rep, and they can help walk you through it and give you a realistic timeline. It's quite often that timeline is very different than what you think it's going to be, most often quite a bit longer. We offer several different ways to fund your business with ABS funding methods. We accept credit cards and debit cards. You can even use multiple credit cards and debit cards. One thing to think about is you might have the cash available to do this, or you may have a loan that you've taken out to do this. If you have that capital in your own bank account and you could pay off a credit card balance, you might consider putting at least a portion of it on your credit card and then paying it off before the bill comes due, because you won't pick up any interest for it, but you could very likely get points or airline miles or cash back, or even some cards now even have Bitcoin rewards where they'll pay you a percentage back in Bitcoin. You don't often have a charge of this size that's going to go on a credit card like that. So if you have the money to do it, you put it on a credit card, you pay it off with your liquid capital, you get a little bit of a bump there, a little bit of an incentive, and honestly a discount on your investment. So something to think about with debit and credit cards. The bank wire is the second way. Bank wire is one of the easier ways to transfer money. It's very straightforward. It works 100% of the time. The only thing to consider with a bank wire is usually your bank's going to have a $30 charge or so, $25, $35, somewhere in that range. But it's a really simple way to do it. And then the last way is a cashier's check. It's a little more cumbersome, but some people feel more comfortable with a piece of paper. So you take the cashier's check, ABS will pay the shipping on the cashier's check. You can drop it in the shipping to us overnight, and we'll cover it. So that's available to you as well. Again, have a conversation with your ABS rep. They can help walk you through the funding options and help you sort out the best way to navigate that. We actually have a document for each one of these funding methods with instructions and guidelines on how to do it. So when you're at that point, you're ready for the agreement, you're ready for the funding, your rep can provide all that to you. And feel free to reach out if you're at that point. Anything to add to that I might have missed, Adam?
No, that about covered it. I mean, we also have an ACH option, which is similar to Bankwire, except it usually happens without fees, and it takes a little bit longer to hit, but it's without fees. Is that right? Did I get that right? The Bankwire is the fee, but it happens right away. The ACH is the usually a smaller fee or no fee, and it takes a little bit
Depends
longer.
on the bank. Yeah, it's a tough question to answer because it depends on the bank. Everybody's using a different source for their funds. So you would really want to check your bank guidelines to see what would be the best way. And ACH, sometimes you run into transfer limits with an ACH. So look at your bank guidelines, figure out what the best method is for you. And of course, your ABS rep can help walk you through that.
And we may just want to briefly mention for those of you who are not quite sure where their funding is going to come from, we do have some possible resources. We don't do any financing or anything internally, but if you have a really good credit score, 700 or higher credit score, and you got a job, we have some sources that might be able to get you approved for some credit cards or lines of credit or something like that through different sources that we have. So reach out to your ABS rep and we can get you that information as well.
Perfect. We just had a request for the company naming and resources templates, but it was an anonymous question. So not exactly sure who that might have been, but feel free to send another question with your name and we'll definitely get that to you. Adam, if I'm talking when that question comes through, jot that down so we can make sure and get that email out.
Will do.
Okay, so the next section, we just finished the agreement and training section. Now we're going, the agreement and funding section rather, now we're going into the training session. But before we do, I'll remind you again, we got live Q&A coming up at the end of the session. So feel free to start typing your questions into the Q&A panel. But now we're going to go into the training portion of starting your business with ABS. Now, this is a lot of fun. I just had a client that I was working with that just moved forward and funded his business and started training this week. The excitement level's high. It's a really fun time. I've been doing this for 16 years and so thankful to be a part of ABS. One of the most gratifying things in my professional career is the excitement of somebody moving into a new business and getting it started and claiming it as their own. It's just such a fun process. And then even more fun is a few months down the road when the money starts rolling in from that first client, and it's just such a celebration. And it's hard to imagine a better sort of career path of helping people get to that point. But we're going to talk about the training session here. And as I mentioned, we try to get the funding date and the training date as tight as possible. So the more accurate we can be with predicting the funding date, the closer we can get that training date scheduled. And it's pretty important. We try to get out in front of this because our lead instructor, Cynthia Anderson, who's just an absolute rock star in the medical billing world, she stays pretty booked up. She's very busy, but she's worth the wait. Her schedule usually is booked up about a week in advance. So that's why, it might feel like we keep reiterating over and over that it's important to set a funding and training date that are near each other. The reason we like to do that is because you don't want to wait a week if you just sent in your agreement and your funds. You don't want to have to wait a week to have your first session with Cynthia. So if we can just back up about a week or two before we identify that funding date, we can get you right on Cynthia's schedule for that first session. Now, just to go into a little more detail on Cynthia, this is world-class training. We are very confident in our training program. We have built this and fine-tuned it over 3 decades. And Cynthia is, like I said, an absolute rock star. She's a very well-respected industry leader in medical billing and medical cash flow management. She has all kinds of credentials. She does consulting all over the US, and we're very fortunate to have her. So Cynthia will take you through 10 online sessions. These are direct one-on-one live sessions, and Cynthia covers everything that you need to get your business started quickly. Of course, that includes the claims filing. She's going to teach you how to file claims. It's going to include all the operational side of the business, how to get your business up and running. But most importantly, it's going to include those sales and marketing strategies to get your first client very quickly. And most of our owners get their first client in 60 to 90 days. So Cynthia is really good at what she does. And the principles that she teaches are you're able to utilize to very quickly find success with that. Anything to add about Cynthia?
Let's see. No, I just got some question I was reading, but no, I think we're good here. She came on board with us. I don't know if you mentioned, but 2008, I think it was. So she's been well over a decade in this, and she had no background at all. If you guys want to talk to her as a reference, we'd be happy to put you in touch with her, as a matter of fact, and she will tell you that she had no medical background, no medical billing background whatsoever. And now she is a total rock star, as you say, which is true. So we were just so happy to have her helping us out and lending. She's paying it forward. She's got people running her business for her and doing all the claim processing for her business. And so she has time to share her knowledge with everybody. And yeah, you'll see when you start looking at the testimonials on YouTube. I mean, everyone just raves about her. So
yeah, she's excellent. A couple more quick points on training that I forgot to mention. We get these questions a lot. How many sessions is it? It's 10 sessions with Cynthia. How long are the sessions? The sessions are about an hour and a half long. When are those sessions scheduled? Well, they're scheduled at your convenience. We try to keep those during normal business hours, but Cynthia will be very flexible working with you to accommodate your work schedule or school schedule or kid schedule or whatever you might be trying to work around. Most of our owners who launch their businesses and go into training with Cynthia, they knock those 10 sessions out in about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a pretty good time frame to kind of keep going with that. The other thing we should mention, and we gave a nod to this in the previous section, you actually get certified through our Jumpstart training with Cynthia. Now, there are some continuing education requirements that we ask you to continue with on our support website. There's on-demand training that you'll continue to go through. Basically, the training never ends. You can never learn everything about this industry. It's a continuing, sort of learning environment. But when you complete the training, you and your partner or partners all receive this certificate, Certified Medical Revenue Manager. So you're going to walk away with a certification that nobody else has if they're not an ABS owner. And Adam, you can maybe talk a little bit about the certification process and how we're underwritten by MIRMA.
Yeah, so we created an organization that you can point people to basically promote yourself and position yourself as someone who knows what they're doing, an expert in the industry. And that's what you want to be seen as. Even if you get through our initial training and maybe you don't feel like an expert right out of the training, because really, honestly, this industry is kind of a lifelong learning process. And so that's why we have our support website with hundreds of hours of continuing education, so you can continue to educate yourself as you're out there building your business at the same time. But this is a designation that you can point back to and say, yes, I've got the credentials, I've gone through the schooling, I've got the knowledge, so everybody that has gone through the training puts the CMRM designation after their name on all their marketing materials. And it's just all about positioning yourself as the expert and someone who really wants to consult with doctors and help them in different ways. So that's why we did that. Yeah.
It's a big deal. You have something that's exclusive in the industry. The next thing to touch on is we are the only franchise or business opportunity in the world that has an unconditional 30-day money-back guarantee. If you decide within 30 days of your investment date that this is not the right fit for you, doesn't matter what the reason is, we give you a full refund of your investment. That helps people feel a lot more comfortable about investing money, and we're very proud to have that. Then the last thing in this section that we need to mention, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, so we can sort of just touch on this. There's a lot of other things that you're going to be doing while you work with Cynthia to go through the training sessions. At the same time, you're going to be registering your company name, getting your website live, getting your email address working, getting the logo for your company designed, getting your business cards, all that kind of infrastructure stuff. Cynthia is going to be assisting you with that, but you'll have homework on the side to get these items knocked out. So that company formation email that Ahmad just asked for, and Ahmad, I did see that. We'll definitely get that email to you straight away. If you've not seen the company naming resources email, definitely let us know. Shoot an email to your rep and they'll get that to you. That's a really cool thing to kind of start dreaming and planning the stages of that.
Mhm.
So that wraps up the training section. And after the training is completed and your company's formed and all that's ready, you're ready to get on to launch and marketing. First, I'm going to remind one more time, I don't see any questions in the question panel. I can't imagine that Adam and I are doing such a good job that there's not a single question out there about the content. So any questions related to this webinar or any questions at all that you might have about starting a business like this, definitely start writing it in there. Natisha, I just saw that you had put a question in the box. I appreciate it. We will definitely get to that question in a few minutes. And for the rest of you attending the webinar, feel free to start adding those questions in. Sky's the limit. Anything that you'd like to know about, drop it in there and we'll get to it here in just a few minutes. So now we're going to talk about launching your business and going through the marketing strategies in order to get your first client quickly. Well, one of the most successful strategies that we have for our owners and that our owners have used over almost 3 decades now to get clients is networking strategies. And this can be BNI, LATIP, Chamber of Commerce, any business networking organization that you can connect with, start to meet other professionals and get introductions to the doctors that they work with, can provide a real advantage in growing your business and help you really quickly start to get introduced to these doctors and office managers. The reason that this works so well is because you're able to help the doctors increase their revenue. Most doctors increase their revenue 20 to 30%. So if you're working with a CPA that you've met at a networking event or an attorney or a business lender, you say, well, hey, what do you do? Well, I have a certified medical revenue management company and I help doctors increase their revenue. Most of the doctors I work with increase their revenue 20 to 30%. Well, you don't say, I have a physician that's really struggling right now. Let me make an introduction. I mean, it's literally that simple. You get an introduction, you go through a step-by-step process to show the value to that particular doctor. So networking strategies are a big part of how our owners grow their businesses. Adam, anything to add to networking?
Yeah, it's just, I want to make sure people understand you're not going to these events looking for doctors. You're looking to build relationships who can be referral partners, like Jason said. So, it's not as scary as you might think. There's a lot of people at these different groups and meetings that really we actually teach you how to say certain things when you go to these meetings to really pique the interest of the people that are around you, so that they're going to go, wait a second, this is interesting. Tell me more about this 20 to 30% revenue thing. Let me know about this. And then you go do coffee, and then you build a relationship with that person. And then a week later, they run into a doctor that mentions that they, their biller quit and they're having issues or something, and they go, oh yeah, I remember that person I met at that networking thing. Let's put you guys in touch. And there you go. There's your warm referral right there.
A good friend of mine in the business just picked up a huge client literally through networking strategies like this. And that client's going to generate very, very strong 6-figure income for him over the next year. So networking is a really great way to grow your business. I want to have a quick shout out to Marion and Greg and David and Ahmad and Natisha. You guys have put some great questions in there. We're going to get to those in just a minute. Let's go ahead and jump through the rest of these strategies that we have for marketing though. LinkedIn is another great networking strategy. Same basic ideas, the networking groups, you're just doing it online through LinkedIn. Looking for the types of professionals that you're already connected with who can help you be introduced to some of their physician clients. I'll tell you the nuclear weapon in our arsenal though, when it comes to getting clients, is medical sales reps. So Cynthia is going to teach you how to utilize medical sales reps on a full-time contract basis, not salary. You're not bringing these medical sales reps on as an employee. You're going to compensate them when they introduce you to a physician who moves forward with your services. So we don't need to spend a lot of time here. Get with your rep to go into more detail about how to utilize medical sales reps, but you can very, very quickly get a good sales rep to start introducing you to physician candidates for your services that you can be very specific about. I want to talk to podiatrists, pain management doctors, cardiologists, and sleep study clinics. And I want them to be 3 to 8 doctor group practices. Any of those criteria that you can fit with clients that you already have, I want introductions to the office manager. That's all the sales rep has to do, introduce you to the office manager, and you go through the process we teach you of demonstrating the value to the office manager and physician. So medical sales reps is a great way to very quickly do that. Anything to add to sales reps, Adam?
No, that about covered it. That's one of the top ones for sure. Marketing methods. Yep.
Absolutely. Lots of other marketing strategies to utilize here. Some of these are a little more indirect than the other strategies that we recommend, but these all can be very helpful as well. And I think I've started to see quite a few questions here. We've got about 10 minutes, so we could probably go ahead and start answering some of these live. Just go through the next couple of slides here. Don't forget, ABS is the fastest way to start your medical billing business, guaranteed. A really smart person wrote that tagline. I don't know who.
So Natisha is asking if the funding is due all at once. Natisha, yes, the full $27,990 does need to be paid in full before you're able to start your training. So that's why I mentioned that we do have some resources for funding, but it does have to be paid to us in full. So there you go. Marion is asking, do you have a coding module or software as well? Marion, this is one really cool feature of our software system. The codes, they're version ICD-10 right now. And anytime there is an update to the coding database, those are built into our software and it's updated automatically behind the scenes by us. So it's not a separate module. You don't have to download or install anything. They're just automatically in the system and maintained. So every morning when you log in, every time the doctors log in, you have the latest, greatest version of the codes. So again, get with your rep and we can give you a demo of how that works. It's really cool how the coding works in our system. Do you want to take that one from Greg there?
Yeah, I want to add one quick thing to Marion's question on the coding. Marion, definitely get a demo of the platform because it's a lot easier to show the power of our system when it's live on screen. We can talk on the phone all day and I can describe these features to you. And sure, I can do a decent job of that, but actually seeing it and seeing the features is really important. And I think will provide a lot more insight. In particular with the coding, we have a couple of features that are great. One feature is what we call a crosswalk. And a crosswalk is helping doctors who are very familiar with ICD-9. ICD-9 is the old coding database. We are no longer allowed to file claims with ICD-9 codes, diagnosis codes. That actually stopped in October of 2015. We have to use ICD-10 now. But we have a really cool feature built into the system called a crosswalk that will help the physician who may not be familiar with ICD-10 codes. They can select the ICD-9 code and it will automatically map the corresponding ICD-10 codes. Just a very quick way to help a doctor who's just overwhelmed by the drastic increase in codes from ICD-9 to ICD-10. The ICD-9 code database was, I think, around 16 or 17,000 codes. The ICD-10 database is over 70,000 codes. So having that little tool, the crosswalk, to help you bridge the gap. A lot of doctors who have been in practice for 10, 15, 20 years and they know ICD-9, they haven't quite taken the leap. They can use that crosswalk to help choose the codes. So that's just one example of a great feature that's built into the system. Get a demo from your rep and they'll definitely help you with that. Let's see, Greg's question here. What are the top 3 first-year challenges you see most often with new franchisees and how are these overcome? Boy, that's a great question. So one, Adam, if you have any, one pops up in my mind right away. One of the things that we see time and time again is individuals who go through training, are super excited, and then when they go out and start marketing, they just toss everything they learned out the window and they go do something differently. This is especially common with people with a sales and marketing background. As a matter of fact, one of the people on our reference list, Tim Warren, if you want to give him a call and talk with his experience growing his business, he comes from a sales background. And what happens is, as salespeople, and I do fall into this category, so I can accept some blame for this as well. Sometimes we feel a little overconfident in our skills. And even though there's a better way to do something, we may bang our heads against the wall anyway. So it's very important to take the strategies that we teach, that Cynthia will teach you during your training sessions, and follow those very closely and not go out and do your own things. We had one guy rent a billboard at the side of the highway and, put, need help with medical billing. Of course, that's not going to be very direct assistance, and all kinds of other. The most common thing is for people to spend lots of time and money on their website, thinking, if they have this fancy website, the doctors are just going to flood in. That's not how it works. It takes years to build an SEO optimized website. So that's the first one that comes to mind. Adam, do you have any that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's really it, is the marketing part is the challenge, doing the technical work, doing the claim filing. That's the easy part. We teach you how to do that, no problem. But it's the people that go through our training and they follow. See, what we do at the end of the training is we help you put together what we call a jumpstart marketing plan. So we're gonna ask you, what are your goals for growing this business? Do you want to keep it small and home based? Is it just you? Is it you and a wife or a business partner, or do you want to eventually grow it to have, a bunch of staff and all that? You can go any direction you want to, but the key is you have to follow the plan exactly as we lay it out. And you can't deviate from that, because we've been doing this for so long. We know what works and what doesn't work. So the other thing would be just, for those who maybe have never started a business before, they've always worked for someone else as an employee. It can be challenging, if it can be a little bit more challenging for people that have not ever started a business before, but that is what we are here for. That is what our entire support team is ready for. And I say it like that because it's really going to be up to you, the individual, to continue to reach out to our support team for anything at all. No question is stupid. You need to ask, if you need to email our support team and call them every single day. And believe me, there are a lot of people that do that. I mean, really, those are the people that get their clients, they get their clients the quickest, because they're constantly leaning on us and asking us questions, and we're hand-holding them through every step of the process. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. And Greg, to put a finer point on your second question, how are these issues overcome? When you run into challenges, you run into problems, pick up the phone and call support. That is the answer. How is it overcome? Well, it depends on what the challenge is, but we can't overcome that challenge if you're not reaching out. So it's really, really critically important to do that. Okay, so David asks, are you finding that folks still have success during COVID? David, absolutely, absolutely. If anything, COVID has shown us that physicians need help, and a lot of it. I mean, our healthcare system has been overwhelmed with COVID, and especially private practice physicians have really struggled with revenue. There's a lot of different problems that we've had over the last year and a half. One of the problems is people don't want to go into the doctor's office anymore. The doctor's office is where you go to get sick right now. It's full of COVID patients, right? So doctors have seen a drop off in just normal visits, the wellness checkups and things like that, because people don't want to go into the office. We've got a great solution for that. We have a telehealth component, so the doctor can see patients over video and audio chat. And that's been a huge boom for business for our owners. But our owners have been very, very successful over the last year and a half. Adam, you might want to add some stats or observations on that.
Yeah, we actually released a bunch of stats on that on the webinar that we did last week with Patrick and Eric. I don't have them pulled up in front of me, but go back and watch that webinar that we did last week. And there's actually several different charts that we show from some recent surveys on private medical practices. Basically, there was like 72% of all the practices surveyed said they were growing in some way or another at the time of the survey, which is very recent. So yeah, I mean, we're finding just as much need for outsourced, revenue cycle management now than we were, 4 or 5 years ago. So yeah, it's going good.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
I mean, for our people, it's going good. Maybe not for the overall health of the entire world, but aside from that, our people are doing really well.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, David. Ahmad has a real quick question. This is an easy answer. Ahmad is asking if the corporate entity type that you create with your company needs to be an LLC, or could it be a different type like a C corporation? Ahmad, by far the most common entity type is an LLC. In fact, I cannot recall anybody using a C corporation or a partnership. An LLC is just, for a small business like this, it makes the most sense. I would ask you to talk with your CPA about that and get advice, because your needs may be different than others. If you have other businesses, there might be a different entity type that would make more sense for you. But when you do talk with your accountant or CPA, ask them about an LLC with an S Corp designation. That does give you some tax advantages. So it's an LLC with an S Corp, C-O-R-P, corporation, S corporation designation. And your CPA or attorney or tax attorney can guide you with that. It's a good question. LLC, folks. Okay, 5:01. We went 1 minute past. Do we want to take a couple more questions or call it quits?
Are we through the slides here?
Yeah, we should probably do the last couple of slides. These are pretty easy though. Live Q&A, how to get started. We went in deep depth of all these due diligence steps. So, everybody got the, if anyone cannot find a rep email or doesn't know where to find any of this information or needs assistance, please reach out on our 866 number or send an email to info@absystems.com. We'd be happy to help you get this information if you can't find it. We'll mention the 30-day money-back guarantee again. We mentioned that a little bit earlier in the presentation. You do have an unconditional 30-day money-back guarantee. And don't forget, next week we have coming up, our topic is an interview with medical billing franchise owner Jade G. So that's going to be a good one. They're going to interview Jade. She's going to talk about her experience with ABS and growing her business, the challenges, the hurdles, the pitfalls, but more importantly, the success. So that would be a good one to check out next week. Couple more questions here. Do you want to just maybe take a couple off the top here, Adam?
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Let's answer these questions real quick. Doreen's asking, can we service both medical and dental? Yes, Doreen, you can. We have a system for both medical and dental.
Absolutely.
Natisha is asking, are there any other certificates we will need to get? No, there's not any additional certifications or schooling or training or anything that you need to go through after you go through the certifications that we provide you. Greg says, thank you. Very helpful for your answer there. You're welcome, Greg. Let's see. He's also asking about, am I limited to certain specific regions local to my zip code? Greg, no, it's not a franchise. So there are no restrictions. You can actually have clients in any part of the country. And, we could do some research for you if you want to see kind of who's in your area, but that's just not been a concern for our owners at all, the way that we do the marketing. But yeah, you're able to sign up anybody anywhere in the country. So it's pretty cool.
I'm going to add one thing to that, Greg. When it comes to territories, quite frequently, as you grow your business, you'll start getting referrals with doctors that are not in your local area. So our particular business model just simply doesn't work for a territorial model. This isn't a McDonald's where we can say, okay, we can have a McDonald's every 3.5 miles. Our owners very quickly grow businesses that have clients nationwide. So it just doesn't work. If you want to chat with your rep about your particular area, we can give you a little more insight. But we have never had an issue with territorial kind of conflicts or anything, not one single time in almost 30 years. So you can market anywhere, no restrictions at all.
Yep. Last one from Cy here. What type of doctor's office works best for the business? A group of providers, individual physicians, anybody and everybody, Cy. I mean, our sweet spot for marketing is a private practice with 10 doctors in it or less. So we can show you kind of how to target those size practices. And we talk about in training different specialties that work better on the platform, and the different specialties that are kind of low hanging fruit, in terms of you being able to sign them up as a client. And he's also asking, do most providers choose most of the packages or services to maximize revenues? That's a really good question. So we actually one thing that our support team does is we're very heavily involved in the process of you creating your proposal for every doctor that you're talking with. So we can actually take a look at the practice analysis that we show you how to do for that practice, and we will make recommendations on, we think that you should offer these 2 or 3 services. We think that you should price yourself at X%. So we're going to help make sure that you're coming up with a killer proposal in every scenario. You're never going to be offering them all services all the time. You don't want to do the shotgun approach. You really want to make an educated proposal. So anything to add to that?
Yeah, Cy, I would just say we could definitely spend a little more time on this topic. If you'd like to set a call with me, just go to any of the emails that you got from me, click on my signature. There's a little calendar link. That's a 30-minute call. Click the link and we can chat about this particular topic in more detail, or if you have other questions as well. So I'd be happy to go into this. This is actually a really, really important part of growing your business, is understanding the consultative approach that we have. We have a step-by-step formula for you to follow. And if you follow it, you have a really, really high likelihood of that turning into a client for you. So these are important topics to cover.
We did it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, everybody.
Appreciate everybody joining us today.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you on a webinar next week, and hopefully one of our training sessions soon. Have a great night,
everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
See ya.